why don't we get started? I'm really, really excited. I'm just so hyped that there's such an awesome turnout to this event. But welcome to the Voiceflow Community AI Agency panel. I'm joined by some of the top agency builders in our community to chat through questions that they really wanted answered when they were starting out in their journeys. So excited to learn from them today. So let's look at our agency community at a glance. This is something that was really shocking to myself when I looked into the data. From our 7,000 community members so far, we have 700 of you that are already early agencies and 100 that are even mature agencies. And so you guys are huge. There's a lot of you, and we're really excited to create a community where you can all connect and share best practices. Because at the core, building an agency is really hard, but there's nothing harder than doing it alone. So again, just being able to connect with other folks doing it in all different industries is invaluable. As a part of the event today, as we've done our awesome rebrand, we're also going to give away 2 Top Engage event attendees our limited edition Voiceflow community mugs. They're very, very awesome and pretty. So shop your questions in the Q&A tab down below. Be active in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye out on that. And then after the event, we'll reach out to those that we thought were most engaged to give away our awesome mugs. Great. So now I'm going to pass over to Daniel to share more about our agency beta program.
Yeah, so excited to kind of see all of you. This was kind of nuts because, when Kim and I were chatting, we were like, oh yeah, we'll throw up this event, like maybe 30 people will come, like it'll be a really cool like community best practice sharing. And then I think, what is it, Kim, like 400 registered attendees?
Yeah, it was like 400. And I was like, we were thinking 20, like this is awesome.
Yeah, and I think this is really what we've seen over the past couple of months, if not more, is that like from the history of Voiceflow, right? Like we have been around for about 5 years, and we really work with every industry. And every industry, from what we've seen, has a need for AI agents, or previously what it was called is conversation design. And so that was one of the weird quirks about building Voiceflow, is that it wasn't industry specific. It was that like every industry. So we're working from like people from like Home Depot and like Walmart to like JP Morgan to like Intuit to like Orange or Vodafone. It was across the world and it was every industry, but it was really focused on enterprise. A lot of these teams were really big. They had like 20 designers building their chatbots, their AI assistants, or back then. And when ChatGPT kind of came out and changed the world last year, it went from taking people like 20 people at JP Morgan 6 months to be able to build something to 2 people in like 1 week to be able to build the same quality of assistant. And so from there, we kind of saw the world blow up, and every kind of SMB and mid-market company who really wants an advanced AI agent is now actually able to get them. And that's really where we also saw the rise of the agency, because a lot of these teams don't necessarily have the resources or the time in-house, and they'd much rather work with an expert in there. And we also get emails all the time from people asking if we do this, and the answer is we don't, but hit up our community, there's tons of people. And so that's what this slide is just kind of showing, that like every industry needs AI agents, and we're really seeing this come across. So we're excited to see like how all of you grow, the industries you start to focus on, and figure out like how we can best support as this goes on. And so part of that is we're officially kind of launching our Voiceflow agency program. This has been in the works for a little while. A lot of you have been asking about this for forever. We just wanted to do it right when we did do it. And so there's going to be a ton of stuff in here. There's going to be affiliate links, rev share, agency-specific plans, expert portals, certified tiers, private Discord channels, roadmap sessions, beta access, preferred pricing, and a whole bunch more. Really, the goal of this is to be able to support all of you as you are kind of helping like grow your business and supporting clients. So a lot of this coming, you'll start seeing some of this pushed like mid-April. We're changing up our billing systems. We're adding this new page to the website. So a lot of exciting stuff is here. And I'm going to be sharing a link to apply to the program and learn more about it in the comments after this as well. To give you a really quick overview, there's going to be basically 3 tiers. So there's a registered agency, which is meant for people who are starting off, newer agencies. You get an affiliate link and kind of get started in this funnel. There's like the certified partner program, which is you've now started getting a couple of clients. You're a growing agency. This is where we really want to kind of invest a lot of time. And so for a reference, like a lot of people who are speaking on the panel, like everyone who's speaking on the panel today would absolutely qualify for this. I'm sure a ton of you in the audience would qualify for this as well. But the goal that we have here is that if you're a certified partner and you're starting to grow, we want to be able to work with you as partners and really help support you as you grow. And then finally, as a premium partner, this is something that is kind of just starting to pop up. But this is for folks who are working with kind of like larger clients, mid-market, a little bit on the enterprise side. And again, just making sure that we can give you the resources to help as well. And just to kind of give you a sense of like what some of these benefits are, is really kind of tiered towards this. We'll be releasing more details on this, but we want to make sure that, once you're at this stage where you have gotten a couple clients, you've figured out your niche, that we can get you into the certified program and really kind of invest a lot of time back into you to help grow your business. And then finally, in terms of like the actual joining the beta program or joining the initial launch, I'm going to share the link in the chat. We're going to be screening all the applications, and we're going to start sending out acceptances and interviews in mid-April once we have the partnership page up. If it's a fit, we'll go and actually reach out and kind of formally approve. And then we're planning to really do this in batches. So the first group of kind of certified partners will be a smaller batch, but we're hoping to really spend a lot of time with you to understand what are your needs, how can we help support you, and help you grow your business as this industry grows. So that's it for me. I'll pop this in the chat, but really excited to be able to work with all of you and kind of help grow this together.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I already see the chat is buzzing about this. So yeah, just check out the link that Daniel's going to share, and really excited to see some of the apps come in. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna queue up our panelists, our amazing panelists. So the way today is going to be structured, we're going to kick off intros from our panelists. Then I'll go through some burning questions that we see come up a lot in the community. So across things like pricing your first client, how to land your first client, how to scale a team, how to scale your agency. And then right at the end, we're reserving around 10 minutes for an open Q&A session. So if you do have questions, click open that Q&A tab, drop it in, and then we're queue you up on stage in that last segment there. So yeah, I'm gonna invite up our panelists, maybe starting with the Otro.ai team, if you guys wanna start with an intro and then going across the board.
Sure, thank you, Kimberly. So hi guys, my name is Alexander. I'm the co-founder of Otro.ai together with Filip, and we're based in Belgium. What we're doing is we're actually a full-service AI automation agency where we focus on putting businesses and workflows on autopilot. We do this through AI chatbots, for example, through Voiceflow, but also with more complex AI agent systems, which are connected together in some sort of an ecosystem. And we also provide AI consulting. So that's it for me, and I hope to have here a good time and meet lots of new and excited AI agency owners and also Voiceflow users.
Yeah, like Alex said, great intro for Otro. I'm Filip, the other co-founder of Otro.ai, and I'm really excited just to get people excited about AI, because I think it's a breakthrough. Like Daniel said, it now takes a much smaller team just to get workflows and everything automated, and it can make life so much easier.
Awesome. Pass it over to the Webforge team. John, do you want to kick it off?
Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Jofu from Webforge, here with Ben and James. James is the glue for me and Ben, who are the the product people. We focus on the building this stuff. I'm excited to be here. We build internal tools for companies. We also do chat agents and whatnot, but we're looking to build features and products for teams that are looking to do a startup or looking to expand their customer services, e-commerce, etc. So without taking too much time, I know we're kind of crunched on time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all this.
Ben and James, do you guys want to hop on as well?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Ben. I'm the CTO at Webforge. So essentially what I do is I'm looking for vision. The main thing that I do, especially with Voiceflow and other external builders that we build or use, I want to see new use cases. And my brain sort of works in a weird way that I start to divert and divulge towards independent use cases for very, very small crowds and use cases and purposes, etc. So internal tool building really is my forte, solving process-based tasks and building solutions for them inside businesses for them to better leverage their team, their staff, and the amount of hours that they've got at their disposal. So that's what I do. Pleasure to meet everyone.
Likewise.
Nice. Yeah, I'm James. So my main situation in Webforge is really running the operations, keeping these two Rottweilers in check pretty much, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to streamline our operations as well as our clients. So these guys touched on everything we do from an internal aspect already.
First time I've heard Rottweiler used like that, but that's awesome. And cool, Bilal, do you want to hop on?
Yeah, for sure. Hey everyone, my name is Bilal. Prior to creating my agency, Helpline Hero, I was doing machine learning research, and most recently I worked in big tech as a software engineer. If you ever bought something from Amazon Prime, you've definitely interacted with my code. After Amazon, I pivoted to creating my own agency. And in the beginning, I was doing stuff like websites and web apps, but then I realized there was like a huge unfulfilled need in the small to medium-sized businesses, and bringing them up to speed with AI. And that's when I sort of found Voiceflow. I tried all the different platforms out there, but Voiceflow was the most robust by far, and now I do all my builds on it. I do a lot of projects mostly within the medical and real estate niches. So if you're out there and you're looking for a partner or something, feel free to hit me up.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's such a flex. That means I used your code today. So that's awesome. Cool. Emil, would you like to come on and share an intro as well?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Emil. I'm one of 3 co-founders at OmniFusion, so I'm not the only founder on the team. We specialize in building AI sales agents for Instagram. So we have a software doing outreach, and we then take care of all the responses that come back or inbound messages on Instagram, set appointments, and we really dialed in on that niche. We basically do Instagram only at this point. We did some customer service chatbots as well. We found Voiceflow during the summer, and we were the first ones to integrate Voiceflow with ManyChat, for example, and share that on YouTube. So maybe some of you guys know us from there. And yeah, it's good to be at yet another Voiceflow event as a speaker. Thanks, Kimberly, for having me.
For sure. And last, certainly not least, David.
Hey everyone, my name is David. I'm the founder of Commerit, and we're a small agency focusing on automating customer interactions. And we started off, of course, with Voiceflow and looking a lot into the text-based side of things, and now slowly moving also into newer technologies like voice that is becoming more and more available. Happy to be here, super interested what you guys have for questions, and of course, super happy to share any insights and where this whole industry is going.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's do it. Let's hop in. So very first question is, for those early agencies, what are strategies that you use to land your first client? David, maybe you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I can tell you how I did it. I'm not saying it's the best way, but this worked for me. So when I started with Voiceflow, I didn't know exactly which kind of industries and which kind of clients would benefit from such solutions very well, right? Because each industry, each type of clients has a different way of interacting with customers. So what I did, and it worked really well, was to actually go through all the niches that I thought were interesting, all the industries, and kind of reach out to these business owners and pitch a project for them. And mostly I reached out to bigger companies or companies that I would love to have in my portfolio, and kind of offer that, hey, let's build a solution for you. Let's show you how well this works. And we get the advantage of just flexing that we worked with you and basically learning along the way. And people were really open to this and very happy to even be supportive. Like bigger companies, like, of course, time is very important for big companies, but they were still very supportive and just like kicking a project off and seeing where this goes.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know with the Otro team, you guys also had a very unique strategy with landing your first client. So do you want to share that with everyone here?
Yeah, sure. We had a less traditional way actually, because we were lucky that I think 1 or 2 months after we started with our agency, there was a big AI and tech festival in London named CogX at the time. We applied for it. We went there with the team, and they had this app where you could meet up with the other owners, with the other business owners. And there was this one guy who messaged us and said, "Hey, I liked your bio. You could have like this one-liner of what you're doing." And he said, "Let's meet up. Let's see if we can have a fit." So we scheduled a meeting. We went to the nearest Starbucks at that place. We set the laptop on our lap, and we showed him actually the AI chatbot that was already tailored towards his website, because we scraped it the night before. Actually, it was around midnight, I think, because he messaged us at 10 p.m. in the evening, and the next day it was already the meeting. So we prepared this whole chatbot for him, and he was very pleased with it. And at that moment, it was an instant click, because he could see for himself what the real benefit actually was from Voiceflow and this AI chat solution. So that was our story.
No, I love that. I love that you tailor to build to them, and also it's going to conferences and meeting people is really the greatest way for sure.
Yeah, and
to open it
I
up
think
to
definitely in the beginning, like in the beginning when you don't have like that much confidence and you don't have a whole portfolio, if you can really make this more human connection and show that, okay, we're not just trying to sell you something, but really try to grow with you and help you, I think that's definitely for starters good.
Sure. Any other panelists want to hop in on this one?
If I could just piggyback on what Alexander was saying, I think that he said it was beautiful, and I just want to let everybody else out there know that once you find like your client, I think everybody here needs to like look at who their client actually is, what niche do they actually want to service. It's not a good practice to say like I just service everybody. Like yeah, like VoiceFlow works for almost every niche, you know, online. But think about like who you're actually trying to go after. And you know, connect with that person, figure out what their pain points are, figure out what their actual issues are on a daily basis, and then make some cool shit for them. So like with VoiceFlow, you can make something really cool, really fast, like Alexander did. So like we're so used to people like just bullshitting us. Like we're gonna expand your business by like 80% by sign up for this thing. What Alex did was he freaking talked to the person, he understood their need, so he actually listened as a human. He made the shit, he turned it around and said, "Hey, this is the thing you want," and they're like, yeah, take my money, right? Like that's what sales is listening to your client, figure out who it is, go and meet them, and then show them the shit that they want. And then when you show the person the stuff they want, they're going to like, if you show me something I'm going to want, I'm going to beg you to take my money. Ask James. I'm begging, like I beg people to take my money, please, if it's cool.
I love that. That's like, yeah, it's again, something we chatted about in our prep before was being really value-based. So making sure that you're actually providing value to those that your clients. Great.
Cool.
If any other last points on that one? If not, we can move forward to the next one.
I have one more quick thing.
Go on.
Yes.
You, brother.
I'll be quick and then I'll let you go. Basically, we just started doing cold outreach, email, Instagram, etc. And our thing was we want to build something for you for free. And if you like it, you only pay the retainer, no cost for getting it done. And that was our approach. That's how we landed our first client. And then you get the testimonial from that. If it's a bigger business or a bigger creator or whoever you're building it for, you can use that and then start charging with future clients. So that's what worked for us. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
For sure. Yeah, there's just such a range of different ways that you can land your first client, whether it is offering like a freemium or doing like direct outreach. It really is the world's your oyster on that. And sorry, Ben, did you have anything else to
I was just
going
to piggyback on what Johnathon was saying, just purely based on the fact that I think a lot of people get a little bit wooed of, I'm going to pick a niche. How do I pick a niche? What niche do I go for? Well, the beauty of what we're doing here is that we're serving markets on very different levels. It could be customer service, it could be lead generation, it could be complete back-end compliancy training, it could be conflict management training, it could be anything, right? If you can niche into the pain point, that allows you to then split test across niches to find out where the best ROI is for you, as well as the highest amount of, well, the quantitative end result for the client. It allows you to split test that one solution that works across industry and see where it has the best leverage. That's one thing that I would essentially say on top of that.
For sure. Awesome. Great. So why don't we dive into the next question, which is around pricing structure. There's so many ways you can approach this. Would love to know how you first price and maybe how it also has evolved. Maybe Bilal, I know we chatted about this. I'm going to hand this first one to you.
Sure. So in the beginning, I wasn't really sure how to charge or what to charge. That was sort of like my biggest sort of roadblock. I would sort of get into a meeting and it'd be like, well, I think this is sort of what it's worth. And I would just roughly base that on an hourly rate that I'd set in my head. And I'd be like, well, I'm building this out. It's effectively this many hours. So I'd give them sort of that as like a build fee and then, a monthly retainer that was like a percentage based on top of that. But now I don't really work that way. I also work sort of backwards in the sense that I make sure that, that the deliverable that I'm providing them is very clearly defined. That saves just like a lot of headache up front, right? Because if I say, I'm going to give you a chatbot, that's pretty vague, right? But if I say, I'm going to give you a chatbot that's going to interact with your leads on your website, and then, we can expect this percentage of them to convert into booked meetings or calls or whatever it is, there's some metrics behind that we can, track and trace, and then we can see exactly, what's been delivered and does it live up to what we discussed earlier. So that's what I do there. And then I don't really try to work with too many clients. I'd rather prefer working with like, the right ones and working with them long term. So I like to do value-based pricing, right? If I'm bringing you an additional sort of $50,000 a month in revenue, then I'll take like, 10% or something like that. Just, a number off the top of the head. But that's generally how I do it. And I also like to give them like, sort of 3 tiers. Like I don't just say, here's the price. I'll say, this is a service offering, this is a second one, this is a third, here are prices for all of them. And then that way they can sort of, pick what fits their budget.
Mm. And maybe even doubling down, what do you consider as the right customer?
I think I take a look at their business model. Like, is this a company that I think will, work, that I'll be able to work with long term? For example, there's like the smaller companies that, if let's just say I go through the effort of building out the best AI chatbot for them, or, AI integration for them, but they're only getting like 10 website visitors a month, that's not really a good fit, right? That's just sort of setting myself and them up for failure as well. So I try to make sure, like, they're getting at least 2,000-3,000 visitors a month. They understand the benefits of it. They're overwhelmed with, support related tasks. They see that, this isn't necessarily the best use of my time. And then I just try to see, where could AI really help them? I chat with them. I get to understand what is their business process. Like, if I drove like 100 leads, how much does that make a difference on their bottom line?
Right.
What does that look like for them? How can we help improve your conversions? And then I sort of tailor the deliverable to them.
Yeah, it really goes back to like being value-based for sure. Tossing over to the Webforge team, I know John, Ben, James, you have a really unique structure around service sprints. So do you want to share more about that and how you found success with it?
How granular do you want to be? You want us to can we talk about pricing? Would it be useful for people to like know like how we price or actual prices? Is that something that you want to? Because I don't mind sharing those if you're okay with
I
it.
feel like I'm
Okay.
speaking for the audience, but I feel like I would
Yeah.
probably.
So some of these numbers might it might be like lowball for some of you out there. For most of you, it's probably gonna be like, oh shit, like how's he charging this much? And I'll explain that. Just give me time. When I kind of want to start off real fast, and I want to say the three E's, which is exceed expectations every time. It's kind of been talked about here. When somebody buys from you from your agency, part of that that purchase is going to be trust. So like I always say, there's three things that somebody needs to buy from you to do business with you, and the first thing is they need to know how to find you. They need to know how to pay you. So you need a way for them to pay you with Stripe, PayPal, whatever. But that shit in the middle, that big old Oreo, double stuffed Oreo cream filling is trust. So the more the person trusts you to do the thing, which is going back to what Alexander said earlier, he showed that person the thing. Like the trust for that person was freaking crazy. He went from a salesperson to somebody who actually does the shit. He does the thing, right? I think that structure, everybody here, I know this is not a sales thing, but like everybody here, your job should be, when it comes to value, just explode with value. Your job should be like making them say, holy shit, I need to work with this person forever, or like be a huge fan. So for going to actual pricing, when we don't know exactly how long something's going to take, if there's like some API we haven't dealt with, if there's some like unique situations that we're not sure of, then we're going to probably charge between 80 and 160 per hour. Okay. And that's going to include, that's like from beginning to end. When we sign a contract, we have documentation for everything. So like when we talk to you for the first time, we're gonna send you a document. This is what we talked about. This is what we think you want. And then I want you to come back and say this is what you want. We build requirements, we build proposals, we build scopes of work. So I'm gonna say it one more time for people who aren't familiar with the lingo. It's requirement documents, proposals, scope of work, and then we also send a communication document with the client so they know when to expect communication from us. Okay, this is all about building value. This is all about exceeding expectations.
Right.
The other part of it too is like if we know generally what it's going to take to build this thing, then we'll just slap on a full price, like a price, which is $3,500 for the baseline for a chatbot. If it's something that we've already packaged, we've done before, then we can probably go down to $2,500. But 35 is the where I like to be at. Ideally, I can get up to that 5K mark. And the way that you do this, if you want me to expand on this a little bit more, Kim, is I always talk about like when you start off with the sales pitch or you're talking to the person, you listen to everything they said. And generally a business owner is going to have, when they're talking, they have like all the emotion of owning that business. And so when they're talking to you, they're just like, what can the solution solve? And a lot of times, like you're telling them, I can create this chat agent to do like customer service, and they're thinking, how can I get it to run my business? So what you do is you start off with the garage and you say like, okay, listen, we're going to start with this first thing first. Because like in order for them to buy, they need to be able to envision They need Alex to be able to turn that phone around and say, this is the shit. This is it. This is the thing you're buying. So you need to build that picture in their heads. So start with the garage and say, listen, hey, I know you want all these things. All right. But the first thing we're going to work on, the first sprint, the first, thing that you can actually like give us 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you can actually use this thing is a customer service. We're going to take all of your knowledge bases. We're going to take all the things you already have. We're going to put them in this chatbot. We're going to make it look good. We're going to spin it up, and within 2-3 weeks, you're going to have the shit that's going to take. Now, we all know that's probably going to take us about 4 days. All right. I'm not going to give it to them in 4 days because I want to test the shit out of it. So like, we're going to make it up in 4 days, but on day 3, you better believe I'm sending them an email or a Loom or something showing them that bad boy working. And they're going to say, I thought it was going to take 3 weeks. Holy shit. This thing's already working. And like, they're like, you're still selling them. Like, even though they already giving you money, you still want them to like, you're still in the sell period. Like, you still want them to be like, oh my God, this is exceeding my expectations. Why are we doing this? Well, when by the time that you're finished with the garage, you want them to be begging you, okay, when do you start on the patio? Right? Mm-hmm. Because there's so many solutions. With Voiceflow, it's so dynamic. There's so many things you can do. You can do just the customer service thing, but we want to flip around and say, okay, look, we finished this customer service thing. What about your e-commerce? Like, would you like somebody like a AI assistant that can actually recommend things based off of whatever you use? Oh my God, that'd be great. They already have in their heads. That they're purchasing this. So like, you're turning a $3,500 client into a long-term, $10, $15, $20,000 client. And why are they giving you this money? Well, they're giving you the money at first because they trust you. You show them the thing. Within 3 days, they're already purchasing again because you're showing them that like, it's working, right? And then they start just building this massive value. In the meantime, you gave them, using sprints, you gave them that first taste, that first drip of dopamine, and it actually works. It's while you're actually building it or building the second sprint, they're making money in the first one. So while they're making money, their ROI on that investment, hopefully they already made it back, or they see the value, like their time is saved. They're saving money on customer service costs. They're making more. Their package rate for e-commerce is 20% higher because people is recommending them to buy this extra thing, and like they see the value. They're actually, you're not telling them shit anymore. You're showing them, and they're actually getting to experience it. So now the other things that take longer times and cost more, they're more willing to trust you with those solutions, the other automations that you can kind of package into this. So just to kind of bring this all home, I know this is a long TED talk. I apologize, but just like exceed the expectations. Do not be afraid. I've seen people like say, hey, this is going to cost me $500. And there's been 2 things that I've seen happen. One, the person is going to think you're full of shit. They go like, okay, this is too good to be true. Okay. They go like, or they're going to think it's like low value. They're going to think, oh, this isn't really a good value, right? Like, okay, I'm paying. It's like I'm going on Fiverr, I'm getting a thing. And look, we find a lot of developers on Fiverr, but it takes a lot of work to go through these. Like, I mean, probably 40, 50, 60, James can tell you like, it's probably 100 developers I had to go through before I found some good ones on Fiverr. So like, nothing's wrong with that. But
Yeah, definitely leaning into value, making sure that you're also showing what you're building up front is huge. I know there's also different structures. So Emil, I would love to pass it to you. I know you have built on your own app and also have an agency on the side. So do you want to share more about that model and how it's worked for you?
Yeah, for sure. Just first of all, I want to follow up on what Johnathon said real quick. What I think when somebody who's maybe a complete beginner has no business experience, here's what you just said. It's too much shit going on at once. It's an overwhelming inflow of things to do. So what I would say is keep it simple. Try and give value, give it for free, and you'll learn these things over time. You don't have to do everything perfect. Like if you note down what he just said, try and stick to it, but don't be too hard on yourself. You're going to mess it up a little bit. That's just something that I wanted to follow up with. In terms of pricing, to be honest, it ranges, like it varies a lot. Like we have 5-figure deals, we have 4-figure deals. Usually what we do is a one-time setup fee. Most of the time, it's between 1 to 5K for an Instagram AI appointment setter, and then a monthly retainer between $500 to $1,000. So stacking those retainers. I personally love, so we don't have any clients without a retainer. I know some people here on the panel do. We personally just love these retainer things. We also have the software as well, which is also monthly subscription based. So we just love seeing that monthly recurring revenue number is really what we're most focused on compared to like the one-time setup fees. But honestly, what I would say is at the beginning, it's kind of hard to nail the pricing. We found like we have undercharged way too many times. I'd say rather undercharge and take the learning experience instead of overcharging. We've charged 2,000 and then at the end we were like, fuck, this is like a $5,000 thing once we finish building it out. So I'd rather take the learning experience than overcharging. And yeah, so I think that's going to happen to pretty much everyone. Or I don't know if anybody shares that experience with the undercharging.
No.
Yeah.
100%.
Cool.
And I think also one thing about what Emil said, it's also the fact that most of the times you undercharge the first time you build such a solution, but the second time you will encounter this, it's going to be more productized on your side. So then it's not going to be, it's going to be way better to handle this.
For sure. You have the thing built out.
That also makes it easier to scale like in the future. Like once you've got like a niche established, like whatever it is, you've been there, done that. So a lot of that initial first learning is, taken care of in your first 1 to 5, 10 builds, whatever it is. So that the process you have it down.
Yes. Love that.
And to be honest, like this is just one last thing, sorry. To be honest, this would also help you on the commercial side as well. Because when you learn exactly these productized solutions, then you learn exactly what your customers need and how to sell it to them in an actual good way that they can sell on a scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like learn by doing is like the key. You can hypothesize a lot, but you don't really know until you go out there and do the field work. So I love that call out.
And I think if I can just piggyback just real fast, I know we're moving on.
Yes.
But like for those of you who don't have any clients, this is your first time. Maybe this is your first time like looking at one of these things and you want to get into it. Just freaking do it. Go build some cool stuff. Just go. Like I'm giving you all permission. Go build some cool shit. Okay. Like just go do it. And then once you build it, like just start showing people the stuff. Put it on LinkedIn. Go put it on Twitter. Go wherever they have. Go put it on a flyer outside, man. I don't care. But show people your cool stuff you built because like you should be proud of it. Go show it to us.
Yeah. We have a share your work channel in the Discord too, calling that out. So pop stuff in there. We really want to encourage like cool stuff being posted and shared around. Cool. So maybe moving forward a bit, would love to know, once you've landed your first client, you're starting to get a few more, how have you been able to maintain a steady growth rate for your agency? So with the Otro team, maybe can kick it over to you if you have any thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so definitely also to piggyback on what they already said, that once you have this more experience and you can more productize your service, I think that's where we really saw the difference in scaling and growing the agency. Because in the beginning, it was also a bit all over the place. We experimented with many different pricing structures. First, we went with the upfront monthly retainer plus a usage base, and we noticed these 3 pillars were sometimes even confusing for our clients to notice, okay, what are the 3 things that I'm actually paying for? But we noticed that, okay, once we got better in our services and in our solutions, we were able to productize and to also standardize the whole process for them. So they know, or we know exactly, even if it's a different niche, a different industry, the steps that we're going through with every client is going to be the same. And once we optimize and streamline this process, you can see that communication is really key, especially in the beginning. If you don't have like the ability to overperform on the quality of your product just because you don't have experience yet, overperform on the service that you're offering them, overperform on how you're communicating, keeping them in touch, keeping them updated with every single thing. I think it's Alex Hormozy who said it, that like you want to have these dream outcomes as early as possible, that you want to be able to show them, okay, every small update is like a small win for them. Right. And by able to do that, you can see that, okay, you will learn so much more because you're more into contact with them, and the communication is also aligned. You know that their expectations are exactly matched with what you're working on, because I think the last thing that you want to do is build something that in your mind is perfect, but then at the other side, they thought that, okay, this is definitely not what I was paying for.
Yeah.
But I think on that side, also by growing the company, the thing that we noticed that made the biggest difference actually is that we're switching, or we switched recently our pricing structure a bit, because in the beginning, like I said, it was the 3 pillars of upfront, monthly, and usage. Right now, we're looking more at like custom projects and subscription-based actually. You have this productized service business model, and which we are able to do now because we already went through these many projects. So we know exactly, okay, what are our capabilities. And once we have this discovery call or discovery meeting, we know that, okay, this is something within our scope, and this
Yeah.
is something that we can deliver on a very consistent basis. And then they sign up for a monthly price, and they can cancel or pause a subscription at any moment. So then we can deliver them unlimited chatbots, unlimited automations, and they can choose, okay, right now this first chatbot is enough for me, this Q&A chatbot, and then after maybe a month, I want to restart my subscription and maybe add a module, add another functionality. Maybe now the bottleneck isn't customer support anymore, but the sales side of the sales aspect. So now they want a sales automation. And we notice that this is really something that fosters long-term relationships, because you're really going step by step with them, and you can also see firsthand the impact that you're making with your solutions.
Yes. Love that.
So I guess that's our story.
Yeah, I mean, pricing structure, templatizing, for sure.
I'll add a little bit on the back of that as well, because I think it's very valid in the sense of like the communication between you and your client. Like, as Jofu said, seeing is believing with these products. If you've got demos going through to them, visual, Loom videos, all of that sort of stuff, where they can actually visualize the product being built in production, you're actually educating them as well. And you'll find that as a byproduct of that education, they're now going to work with you to say, okay, so if we can do that, can we do this? And it's like they've just sold themselves a solution. You didn't even have to do anything. Just by you being their friendly AI consultant, staying on side with them, continuing to stay in contact with them even after deployment.
Right.
This isn't just up to that point where you say, look, let's go live, put it on the website, and we'll hear from you in 3 months with a maintenance fee. Like, you need to keep that the whole way through, just as good as it was prior to deployment, post-deployment as well. That communication's key.
I love that. Yeah.
I think an important point. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I think an important point that Alex said is we're not just building chatbots, we're also building relationships. And I think that's really at the basis of like getting a good agency going.
Yes. I think across like all business practice, like I think that's so key, especially for agencies. We'd love to flip it over to Emil as well as David. I know you both have explored the content creation realm, and that's also helped with your agency building. So want to share, your experience doing that and how that might have helped you scale and grow your agency.
Yeah, David, you want to go first?
I'll go first. I didn't go that much into content, to be honest, but I think I had a different approach. And this was the approach of building partners. And just as you guys said before, yes, building relationships is very important, but you should also try to explore building relationships that are not necessarily client to service initially, but rather look for partners that you can go and do stuff together. Like, for example, I think for a lot of us, it's very relevant to partner with other businesses that have access to business databases, or like agencies, other businesses where that they can sell your service, or you can package with them. And that's also an interesting route that can keeps on giving over the long term.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's like, it also creates a bit of a competitive moat for you if you do have access to like some things that others don't. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like delegation as a whole, when it comes to growing as an agency, is probably one of the biggest things that we're now coming under. And it's something that myself personally, I haven't been used to in previous businesses because I've always worked for someone. Whereas now when you're working for yourself, you make the decisions, you set the tasks, you delegate the task to the people who you've now affiliated with. So that goes exactly with what David was saying. Like, even if you make a smaller profit, but you can delegate it to someone, you can just keep your agency moving and moving and moving. And if that becomes an offering where you're like, I'm just going to give you any client I talk to about this, you're just going to build those rapports and relationships with, people within the industry as well as the clients that you're targeting. So that's like a very important thing for us when we're now getting to the stage of, okay, we've got a few clients now, we're sitting there, blah, blah, blah. We need to delegate this stuff to continue steadily growing this agency, give ourselves the time to go and explore new tools, new softwares, new ideas that we can then bring into our agency, make sure that it benefits us internally, and then go and externally sell it to other businesses.
Yeah. Emil, sorry to cut you off.
Go on, Emil. Or you, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Yeah. So we started our YouTube channel initially just literally sitting here doing a Loom and like showing setups, like for example, the Voiceflow ManyChat integration, made videos on that and just gave out free value. Then it transitioned to Instagram and that sort of stuff. And that's been great for us. So if you want to do content, what I can recommend is, so what we had in the beginning was the thought of, if we share too much, are people just going to do it themselves and not become clients? And I would say just share everything. So we were like, fuck it, we're just going to give all the value. Because people are going to see it and they're either too busy or they want the expert to do it, or for whatever reason, they're still going to buy it from you. And it just shows that you're competent. So if you do YouTube, which I personally would recommend, then just blow out the value for free. However, it's not really, so when it comes to steady growth, like it says here, YouTube is kind of, it's random. So you never know when a lead is going to come or when a client is going to come. So it's not predictable. So what we focused on recently is we need a predictable flow of clients, which is when building outreach systems and systems where, you know, if we do X amount of this, we're going to get X amount of leads and X amount of calls and X amount of closes. That's something that's really important once you start scaling. And apart from that, I think just not forgetting about your internal automation. So we always automate stuff for other people. If you forget to automate your agency, you're going to be fucked at some point. Like, especially once you start scaling, like an employee does something here, needs to be tracked there, and all of these things. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah,
love that. Cool. All right, just to move things forward, I know we have about 5 minutes before we break into Q&A, but would love to chat on this point, which I think is the one that everyone in the community voted for, is like, want to know the answers to this. So what's the most common mistake that you've seen early agency owners make, and how do you suggest overcoming it? I'm going to toss this one to Bilal to start.
I think the most common mistake that, at least that I made, was in the beginning, because I was new. I was like, sort of like, all right, you know, I think I'm a little bit too early to niche down. I'm ready to work with sort of whatever client comes my way. And that was a mistake. Just because you'll find that there's types of people that you do want to work with, and then there's types of people that you don't want to work with. And a lot of people come in, you know, and they want like champagne on a or sorry, what's the saying? They want champagne on a beer budget, right? They want you to do a whole bunch of stuff, you know, crazy amounts of effort, work, you know, energy to build it out. And at the end, they're like, all right, cool, thanks. And sort of away you go. So honestly, just saying no is, you know, your best friend. If you think that this is not something that you could do, or you can't do it well, or, you know, you don't have the experience, I just say, no, you know, this isn't a good fit for me, but, you know, maybe I can refer you to somebody that I know, like, you know, one of the other agency owners or whatever it is. Just because if you're really looking to scale, you want to do stuff that you've already done, right? Because then you have the sort of standard operating procedures. You know, all right, I need this requirement from a client. I know on average it's going to take me 2 to 3 days, or, you know, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to turn this around. I can expect them to get their sort of first win roughly around this timeline, and you know, you can just go on to servicing others. Whereas if you're doing these one-off builds all over the place, it's just gonna drain your time, and it's not really a high ROI activity. So I try to get things, you know, within the same industry that I've done before. Not to say that I'll turn down clients, you know, if I think like the use case is interesting, or whatever it is. But if you're really looking to streamline and grow and go further faster, it's find a niche, get good at servicing that niche, and then just scale that niche. That's it. And also, like, business owners know other business owners. You know what I mean? So once you've done your first client and, you know, they're happy, chat with them. Say, hey, you know, how are you liking this? Whatever it is. Do you know anybody else in your network you think, you know, that it'd be beneficial to just having a conversation? You don't need to pitch them on a sale. You can just say, hey, do you know anybody else that it would be nice for me to chat with? You know, maybe we could help about, or, you know, work together, whatever it is. And then if you've done a good job for them, when they refer you to somebody else, they're looking good, right? So it's just a win-win all around. So I guess the most common mistake that I made when I was just starting out was just not saying no enough to poor clients.
Yeah, no, I love the honesty there. Anyone else from the panel want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, sure. I got one. Not setting clear enough expectations. Everyone that knows me knows how much I moan about this. Some people, they don't go in with a scope of work, right? And a scope of work is profound, because that scope of work, that sets the expectations of the deliverable being given to the client, as well as your involvement. I've seen lots, and I mean lots, of agencies set themselves up to start servicing one client. And because that's their first client, they grip onto it with both hands, and they want to over-deliver and over-deliver and over-deliver. Give that 2 months and you just became a very, very decent but glorified freelancer working for an external company. You have no options. You don't have delegation. You don't have enough resources to delegate. You don't have essentially a scope of work to refer back to and then actually remind the person that you're doing the deliverable for, just so we know this days would actually be beyond the scope of our agreement. Therefore, we can go to that paid thing. Because like Emil said earlier, doing it for free is amazing. That is an amazing way to get in there and start working with people. But I've seen people go in for free and then end up doing the freelancer thing. And it's like, no. You need to set that clear expectation first. Like Emil said, he's got his deliverable, he's got his product. I'm going to put this in. It's going to have this qualitative return, i.e. percentages of ROI, etc. And then my job's done. Anything beyond that is scope creep, and we'll renegotiate a deal from there and there on out. And then you can look at charging that paid client for an extended service deliverable. It's just, I've seen so many people go into that and try to recognize it if you are falling into that, because we've been there. I would not be saying it to you if I didn't deal with this myself a year and a half ago. Like we had a client we were working with for 4 months, and every day it felt like I was back at doing development again. Like I was loading up a GitHub and seeing my push requests for the day. Like it was like, oh my God. So
Trauma.
yeah, that's what I would say.
No, I love that. Setting expectations seems to be a theme that both you and Bilal like laid out. It's like you don't want to be landing a client who, you're just doing a lot more than what you expected. So love that.
And just to piggyback real fast. Contracts and setting acceptance criteria. Just two words. Acceptance criteria. When this is met, this is what's happy. You're happy with this is being met. To save your own ass. Like you need to know. Somebody mentioned earlier, but like in your head, it might look beautiful. It needs to look beautiful in their heads, not your head. You're not making this for you. You're making this for them. So acceptance criteria. Make sure that like they're okay with this before you even ever start working.
Yes. Oh yes. From the Otro team, Alex and Filip, anything to add from here?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. I would get agency, you have limited amount of time and resources, so it's really important to delegate it to the right stuff. And I see like a lot of problems that we had at the start was by just trying to perfect something that we didn't even validate before. So I would say validation is a really big part of, creating your initial product. And there's nothing better than just to reach out to your own network and find somebody who can do it for free. That you'll just say like, I'll just create something for you. I just need feedback, because that's just the best way. Like we created a bot before and we added in some modules and some stuff, and it looked really cool to us, but maybe not customer facing towards the clients. And they might go like, that's cool, but I don't even want that. And then they put a lot of like other stuff onto us and tell us we actually want this. And I think that's been a really good like learning opportunity for us, just to find somebody in our network that we can get those ideas from and that validation.
Right. Know your customers, interview them, and test what you're building for sure.
True. And if I can also add a bit on that, is that in the beginning, I think we hopped also niches and solutions we tried to provide, because the grass seems always greener at the other side, right? So before you have like this uninformed optimism, you go in with full head, you take the leap, but then instead you face this wall of informed pessimism, and you see, okay, this shit is harder than I thought it would be. But the thing is, this will be for every niche, for every solution. It's just because you yourself isn't ready yet. So what you need to do is you need to build on yourself. And this is when we realize that, okay, this agency's growth is completely dependent on our own growth as a person. And the thing is, we just need to keep working on ourselves, keep expanding our skill set, becoming better with Voiceflow, other tools as well. And then you will see, you will earn your right to be able to charge the adequate amount, but also to have these more qualitative clients who you will see that, okay, this relationship is not just on a transaction basis, but on a relational basis. And I think that this is something that we saw that really made a difference in being able to laser focus and say, okay, this is the goal. We keep working on it, and because we know the goal is something valid. It's not just something abstract.
100%. Yeah. Emil, do you want to hop on this one? Share your top learnings as you started the journey.
I just posted something in the chat because I thought we were going to move on. I wrote, on your ascent, you're going to dislike what you're doing 80% of the time, and a winner does it anyways. It's not as fun as it seems, and it's not always going to be great. And you're going to be sitting here at 11:30 p.m. with a client that you need to deliver the next day and something's not working and you're gonna pull out your hair and you're gonna lose out on some sleep. So that's an important expectation I think to have as well, that it's not sunshine and rainbow and beach days. So that's one thing. And another mistake I think people make is like the procrastination thing at the beginning, like wanting the perfect website and the perfect PDF pitch deck and all this fluff. What I would say is build out a prototype for whatever niche you want to go into. Don't really even need a website necessarily. Figure out stuff as you go. Don't get caught up on preparing everything for 3 months. And then after 3 months, you haven't talked to anyone yet. You still have no clue what people even want. So that's something else. And yeah, I just say take action and start talking to people. That's really the main thing. You're not going to figure it out by sitting in your room all day.
For sure. Yes, appreciate that. Okay, great. So this is perfect to maybe cue into the Q&A session. So we have actually quite a few questions in our Q&A chat right now. I'm gonna pop some of these folks on stage if you're comfortable with that as well. Feel free to like unmute and ask your question. Very first one I'm seeing is from Alon Bender. So his question is curious how you market to generate cold leads before having a team and how long it took to get the first customer. Feel strongly about answering that.
I can answer because in the beginning I did primarily cold outreach via cold emails. It took me about 2 months or so to get my first customer from there. And then sort of as soon as I got one, I like just 10x the volume. Because I was like, well, I got one. Maybe if I like it, so something's got to work, right? Then slowly improve my copy. One thing that the biggest tip that I could give you is if you're getting an email from somebody, don't sell a meeting, don't sell anything in that first email. That they're gonna ignore it. It's just gonna get sent to marked as spam or whatever it is. Reach out to them, build like an ICP, like the ideal client profile, and then come in with something specific, like, hey, it's better if you have like, maybe like a free or whatever chatbot they've already built for, the industry or some client that's very similar. Say, hey, I did this for this person. I know that they're the same niche as you. Would you be interested in learning more? You're not saying, hey, I did this. This is my price. Do you want this? Hey, let's hop on a call. It's, do you want to learn more? Mind if I send over a testimonial or not a testimonial, a case study? That way they can review it and, get back to you. And then I follow up with them like a week later or something like that. And then we just sort of go from there. But I noticed that, my open rates and response rates went up when in the first couple messages was sort of like, this is what I did. And it's what the other panelists were talking about in terms of like sort of leading with value. It's like, hey, this is what I did. This is an example of my work.
Yeah.
Do you want to learn more? Yes or no, right? Then you want to leave them off with a question that's easy to say yes to, right? Because they can say yes to learning more and they're not committing to anything. Because in the beginning, they're just getting an email. So like there's a really high barrier of trust that you got to get over, and just sending an email isn't going to do it.
Right. Great answer.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes, go for it.
Our eyes are now trained to filter out bullshit. Okay, so when I see my email, like think about the emails that you open up, and if you would not open that email, then don't send it. Okay. But I'll just mention something very important, your ICP. I would ask the first question of why am I doing cold outreach? Because cold outreach does work, but why am I doing this? Is it because you're just trying to do another form of marketing, or are you afraid to like do the research and not be lazy? Like stop being fucking lazy. Go do the research. Go on LinkedIn, go wherever your clients are, go find them, do the actual research, like literally find out the name of your client, what they do, how much they make, what their actual pain points are, then send a freaking email. Okay, don't send an email first until you do the actual freaking work. I get super emotional about code outreach because people will like use it as a way to be lazy. I'm gonna go on Apollo, I'm gonna get like 10,000 leads, and then like they spend $200 and what did they get you? Like if you're gonna do that, just like do Google ads, go on Facebook or some shit, like spend that money somewhere else. Make a YouTube channel, like just take the friction away. Like the people need to trust you. If you send me an email, like I don't trust you inherently, I don't trust you. You're in my email, and if I don't know you, you're not on my list. Then like so you have to build that trust. You're starting from here. If you do a YouTube channel, if I see Emil, like I instantly trust this guy. Why? Because I've seen him do this shit. Like, he's right there. He's doing it. He's right there. Like it for like unless he like paid somebody to make the thing, which that's still fine because if he paid for somebody to do it, I still trust him because it's there, right? There's so far that you have to go from cold outreach to them trusting you to buy the thing. It's outrageous. Start a LinkedIn page, start whatever, start your whatever your outreach is, YouTube, whatever the F it is. So I'm whatever it is, you do that thing and stop being lazy. Go find your ICP. Okay, everybody here, I'm giving you permission. Go find your ICP. Stop being freaking lazy. Find that person. Go reach out. Go figure out their pain points. Find out what store they own. Find out what like their struggles are. Whether it's automation, whether it's leads, whether it's customer service. Find out. And when you have that conversation with them, you're going to be equipped to have the freaking conversation versus trying to sell to them.
Yes. No, I love that. It's honestly just building a brand even. Just to move things forward a bit. Also, this is like the open forum part. So if you want to hop on, unmute and ask your question live, we really would love that. Steve, I think I tagged you in the chat. If you want to hop on, I see you have a question around employee resistance. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
Okay, my question really, I work in the pharmaceutical sector, and I specialize in medicines information, and we're about to launch a Voiceflow-based super product, okay, where we take drug information that's approved by the regulators like the FDA or the EMA, and you can literally ask anything of this thing, and it will give you the answer. I mean, it's just Voiceflow has transformed this, but the point of my question is so many people I talk to, and I do demonstrate, I follow Jofu's ideas about LinkedIn, about YouTube, but so many people in this industry go silent, you know, and I talk to other people and they say, well, it's about this replacing their functions. So I'm sure you guys will come up against that in the past, you know, and
don't use the word. Use a different word. It's simple. Just if people are rebelling against that one word, and change the word. Use assistant. Yeah. If that word, if you're being met with like when you go to like your mechanic, your car breaks down, you don't need to know what like all the mechanisms. You don't need to know what a carburetor is. You just know that your shit's broke, right? So like you just need to use the exact words that's going to take that person to accept what you're saying. This goes across every facet of every sector of business, is using the dictionary, using the language that is going to your audience is going to receive. So if like, you know, somebody doesn't like the word AI, just say assistant, just say like it's technology, just use like, I don't know your market, but use a word that just replaces AI. We don't need it. There's no reason. Like, I don't like the word AI because there's such a stigma against it. So I don't like Kim. I don't think I'll use chatbots anymore. I'll use assistants, right? Like that's like the vernacular people use, because chatbots are just there's a weight to it. Just use something else.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You've answered my other question, but they may be actually linked. You're right, but the chatbot, you know, I'm trying to talk to a physician in a drug company, and a chatbot just sounds like, you know, nah. But you're right. The assistant's the best way to go. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for hopping on. It's a great question. Next up, we have Pavel. If you want to hop on, ask your question. You have a big one around pricing strategy for big companies.
Yeah, guys, nice to meet you all. I'm from Czech Republic. Sorry for my English, it's not the best, but I will do what I can actually. So yeah, first I started to build on different platform actually, but gradually I transitioned into Voiceflow, and I love it because of the functionality and the complexity what you can build and everything, and mostly because of the knowledge base. And right now we've managed to position ourselves in our like local city quite well, I have to say, and started to land quite a couple of big clients, but we are struggling with these like security concerns they have in these like institutions. You can guess. So the question I am meeting the most is like, where are the data hosted? what is the like level of security and yada yada. So most of the time I refer them to your documentation on your website, actually, like the GDPR stuff and monitoring yada yada. But I'm not the best guy yet actually to like respond to these like cyber security things, So I was curious if you met some of these like questions from your clients, and also if you've already had some of these big clients, what was your like strategy with pricing and rate limits, when some company can have like hundreds of questions and queries each day, it can get quite costly. And over here in Czech Republic, people are not so wealthy as in USA, So yeah, also getting these questions as well, they don't want to pay thousands of bucks each month for like, these things. So yeah, I know lots of stuff.
Yeah. Bilal, maybe I think we chatted a bit about like navigating like the legal and scene and security scenes, or do you want to chat?
Sure. So a lot of that really depends specifically on what niche you're working with. Like if you're within the medical niche, let's just say you're doing like some kind of pharmacy or like some kind of medical clinic, obviously you can't be sharing client information or medical data, because that violates HIPAA and stuff. Same within sort of like the legal field. So for that, we could look at, you can still use Voiceflow, but the AI, you can connect it to your own sort of self-hosted model. I know I've done that for a few legal firms. You can host it using Hugging Face, or if you're more familiar with AWS, you can set up your own sort of endpoints. That way, all the data that comes in and out is secure and saved there. Of course, Voiceflow will get access to it in the sense that they'll be able to see the data that's being passed back and forth. But Voiceflow has a really good page on GDPR and other data security related things. So you could always refer them back to that. And another thing about that is a lot of the time, there's companies that come in and they think that, GDPR, CCPA, whatever law, that is currently out there applies to them. But for the majority of the time, it doesn't. Like, for example, CCPA only applies if you're, a business in California doing over $2 million a year in sales, and over half of your income is coming from selling data. Right. But then people they automatically assume that, oh, I'm in California, CCPA applies. So a lot of people aren't actually doing the research into, if this actually applies for me or not. They don't have like these sorts of insights. So I would sit down and, walk them through it. And, if like, you were saying they are a larger company, then, there's a good chance that this will apply. But if they're a larger company, they have a legal team anyway, right? So you can sort of talk with them to maybe have their legal representative on board with you guys as well, and you can just hash out whatever potential issues that they're facing. Like, you can ask them like, hey, would it help if your data was stored in an AWS server that was located in whatever country that you're in? Because I know that's some of the requirements as well. Would it help if we ran our own sort of custom model?
So that's also option to like use Voiceflow as how do you say, like a connector between this, like host the LLM on some.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That way, what you're doing is you can use a tool like LangChain or something like that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And then have like a Q&A back and forth with LangChain. That way, you're not using up your sort of Voiceflow tokens, and everything is sort of separate per use case. So you can track and then you can bill accordingly. That's something that that I would recommend. But again, like this would sort of fall into the bigger clients, the multinationals, et cetera, et cetera. For your average small to medium sized business, this isn't even a concern.
Yeah.
And just to touch very, very briefly is, I think where we're actually heading is most companies in the next, especially as like NVIDIA and these other companies have cheaper and cheaper compute power. Computer's the currency of the future. You're going to see more and more companies having local language models like locally. So like, how do we fit in that? I'm not sure yet. But I do know you can Docker some of that information, send it to Voiceflow, sorry, and then have that information like encrypted, or however there's something you can do there. So I don't want to spend too much time on that because I guess it's super nerdy, super fast, but that's going to be an option in the future that I think we're all going to have to deal with, especially as compute gets cheaper.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And I just wanted to touch on top of it because I know you did mention something about pricing towards the end of that there. I would say it's very hard to try and sell an enterprise solution, especially with the security compliancy agreements, especially if you're not working out a decent maintenance or MRR. Because obviously these type of solutions, if you're working with a big company, they will have, like I said before, a legal team, a board of directors that are interested in the like the cybersecurity side of things. They'll probably have annual SOTC or SOC agreements being taken place for compliance and security. They also might have routine penetration testing. So you need to make sure that this system is up, maintained, and being utilized in the back end to make sure that the service is the same throughout the entire build. So I wouldn't shoot yourself in the foot not aiming for a $2,000-$3,000 a month maintenance, because it might need quite a lot of uptake in that aspect.
With like a 50K start a setup, because you're setting up like I would set up like locally.
Yeah,
I'll just make sure that
100%, 100%. Because the cost for running stuff locally is quite expensive. Like running the 70 billion parameter model from Llama, last I checked, is something around like 13 to 15 grand if you're running it 24/7. And just that's like going to be your cost alone, right? So you got to pass that forward to them. So but for like the enterprise level clients, that really isn't a problem.
They're gonna pay that money in order to make sure that their stuff's safe. So like,
exactly.
I say 50K, I say 100K. They're gonna say, like, again, businesses want to take your money. So if I say, hey, this is local, this is all the benefits here locally, they're gonna pay that money if they trust you enough to actually do the solution.
Of course, your solution might be $5,000, but their penetration test that they have to do 4 times a year is 12 grand a pop. They've got the money. They just the value needs to be broken down in their head to say, okay, this makes sense, and we're doing this in a way that makes the most sense for our company and obviously the protection of our IP.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And that's pretty much what Daniel sort of messaged in the chat as well, using Voiceflow as a sort of orchestration layer. That's where you gotta do that for these larger clients, because it's going to be very unlikely that you'll be able to service their sort of exact needs and all the requirements just out of the box. So for those more complex builds, you are going to need to do that. And Voiceflow is great for that, actually. Like it comes out of the box, with functions. You can easily call APIs. You can pass all the information over. It is more technical. You're going to be digging into documentation and into the weeds, but that's sort of what you get when you're signing an enterprise level client.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. So Maurice, I think you had a question in chat. I can queue you up as well if you want to unmute. Your question is around different options of how demos are done for clients.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I actually love this discussion. Coming from a product design background and, using Figma and Miro and all that type of stuff. And when we do demos, it's kind of, it's a little bit different. So I'm trying to get some ideas on how to demo, products to customers or potential customers. Considering the cost stuff that Johnathon just talked about too as well in terms of hosting. How do you share it? How do you get into putting it on their website? It's kind of, they might have a website designer, developer somewhere to take that code and stick it in the body type or whatever. But how do you go about demoing to customers?
Personally, I'll take this question. Personally, what I use is a website called Framer. There's tons of web developers out there, Webflow, Framer, loads of them. But the beauty of Framer is that it allows you to basically choose a preset domain that's still being hosted for free by Framer. So what I would do is essentially jump into there, rebuild a very, very simple brand mock-up of their website inside Framer, utilizing the textures, the branding, the colors, and the image, just so that the client can visualize how this would look on maybe their landing page or their header, etc. The beauty of Framer is that allows you to publish that and put that on a live domain for free, right? So then what you do is you go to your Voiceflow bot, take your embed code, throw that into a code block, put it on the Framer website, and then you essentially just pitch them that website. It's still got so let's say we were to use one of our companies called White Rabbit, it would be whiterabbit.framer.ai. Simple, easy domain. You just send that over an email and say, take a look. They click on it, they see their branding, they see their images, they see their styling of website, etc. And then they actually get to utilize and test the bot in the bottom corner. Alternatively, obviously Voiceflow have just come out with the new feature that allows you to embed it on a page. So there's that option too. You can embed your chatbot directly into a page and allow them to interact with it like that to basically split test and quality assure the system.
Great, perfect.
I want to piggyback on that real fast because I think it's like you said you're in product design. I think you know exactly how to like market a product. Like when you send me something in Mural, like my jaw drops. Like holy shit, that looks cool. Think about I want everybody here to think about what Ben just said and kind of like put it to like what we've all said so far as for like getting leads and charging. Think about all the effort that just went through for that one client, for one client. Like, and maybe it's not even somebody you even contacted yet. Let's just say I go to Kimberly's website and I'm like, all right, maybe she can use our bot. I go to her website and I make a mock. I go through the entire process of making a mock website of Kimberly's website, and then I make her an entire chat bot. And then I send her a LinkedIn message. I'm like, hey, Kimberly, listen, I love your content on LinkedIn. Here's a quick Loom video of this chat assistant. I think you would love. Let me know what you think. And like she opens it up and it's her website and it's a chat bot. And she's like, holy crap. Like this person went through all the weeds, all the BS to do this for me. I am touched. Me personally, you do it for me. I am touched. I instantly went from a cold, like I've never talked to you before, to like I'm gonna go out of my way. I'm gonna go to war for you because you spent that extra time to do this for me. I think personal connection is like the marketing like cheat code right now of like just going through that process of going through Framer. Like sure, it might have take you an hour to like make a mock website, and maybe have taken you like another hour to do that. But that's like 100x more than anybody else in my life is gonna do for me, right? Like just yeah, it just goes so far.
Yeah, and just to quickly piggyback off what Jonathan's saying, you can even like cut your time down on that even more by saying, sending out whatever cold outreach message you're saying to however many people and saying, hey, I already built this. When is a good time to connect? Because not everybody, even if you've already built it, not everybody's going to be willing to see it. And this way, you send out the message and let's just say Kim responds says, oh, I'm free to take a look at whatever time. Then you just go ahead and build the thing. Right. That way you're telling them, I'm building this custom for you. And then when they give you the interest, go ahead and build it out. Otherwise, you could be wasting your time. This lets you have like sort of that mass scale, but also that personal touch.
Yeah, if I can jump in again on that, I really like that because there was a part of the conversation earlier on talked about outreach in terms of, all these people going to Apollo or whatever it was, or to getting all these emails and sending them out, right? So if there's a bunch of leads that are actually dentists, because I'm actually thinking about doing this, I'm working on something for a dental office, but I want to actually have this demo somewhere where I can show them, here's something I've worked on before for another dental office. Would you be interested in something similar? Is that the way you were talking about there a little bit?
Yeah, and look, sorry, you go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
So just staying with the idea of like making this framer thing and making that chat assistant for that one for Kimberly or for whoever that client is. Guess what that is? Like even if she ghosts me, I send her this thing, I put all this work in there, like, and she just does not respond to me. Okay, like, am I gonna get mad or am I gonna do the other thing? The other thing is, well, now I have a case study. Okay, like it's a case. I literally just made a case study. So if you do this 5-10 times, you have 10 case studies, right? Like, hey, this is some stuff I did because you literally did the work. It's all there. And so now, worst case scenario, you have 10 case studies, and now like your expertise just expands, and people trust you now because you've done these things. Even though Kimberly like gave me a cold shoulder, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. Because I have this case study now. I have this thing that I did the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, put the reps in, and then you're gonna face a lot of no's. You're gonna get a lot of people who book a meeting and then don't show up. That's very common. Yeah. You just gotta power through and just keep putting the reps in, Eventually the shots will fall, and then that's pretty much it. But yeah, what I did, it's funny that you mentioned the dental niche. I created a website within Webflow, spun up my bot there, and then used that to sell to other dentists and medical niches as well. I partnered up with ironically enough one of my own doctors. I went in for like a sports injury, and he asked me like, oh, what are you up to these days? And then I sort of showed him. I went back at a follow-up within like sort of the next week, and then I went ahead and made a Voiceflow bot for his clinic. And then I was like, yo, check this out, this is what we chatted about, showed it to him. He's like, yo, this is amazing. I want this in all my clinics, and he owns 30 clinics. So that's something that I got from just speaking with the guy, and I knew that he'd be receptive to it because I'd spoken to him in person. And then that was it. And now if I ever need to sell to any medical clinic, I don't do the sale. I have a doctor, and he's partnered with me for these things. So versus, doctors trust other doctors, right? So the sales just come so much easier. They're like, oh, I'm a doctor. I use this in my clinic. We just did 50K last month. Like that's my biggest case study. Like we implemented it in. They're getting a lot of website traffic, like 4,000 or 5,000 website visitors a month. And they sell like a private sort of treatment plan for athletes. And they're converting, like even if they convert like 10% of the people that they're doing it, like one of their private treatments cost over $1,000. So in the first 26 days, like, I tracked like all their metrics. I tracked the number of booked appointments. I tracked, the no-show rates, the show up rates, how many people are converting from, those initial meetings to private clients. And I made a little case study about it. And now like when I'm reaching out to the medical people, like it's really quite easy. I'm like, well, I added 50K in 26 days to this clinic. You have to make an offer where they feel stupid saying no. It's, goes back to what Hormozi's saying. Like, it's like you're pretty much saying, do you want free 50K per month to your clinic? Yes or no? Right. And if they say no, then it's like, all right, cool. That doesn't make a difference to me. I know I've already been there.
I'll give you a competitor 50K a month.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? And then you just sort of go on like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's a huge W to do that, like from the clinic that you went to and then pulling up. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm gonna squeeze in one last question because I see that he's still in chat, and then maybe we can wrap up after this one because I know we're quite over. Jonas, I know you asked around like token pricing as well and how you can better project the usage cost for your project. If you want to come on and unmute. Nice.
Yeah. So, hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I just started out and I have my first meeting tomorrow with an e-commerce business. And they have like, I think, more than 500,000 visitors on the website every month. So my question is, that could run up to a lot of tokens, I guess, if they all chatted with a chatbot. So who should pay for the usage? Should they pay? And also, how can I estimate the usage cost before starting the project so that they know before what they can expect?
I mean, if they're getting, that scale of website visitors, you can imagine that, they're going to be sort of bombarded with questions. So you'll hit your token limit very quickly. So what I would do in that situation is I would propose probably building out a custom model for them and self-hosting it. Because the vast majority of tokens in Voiceflow do come from the AI responses, right? And you can always send an API request to your own backend to get its API to get an AI response and then show that back to the user. And you can really cut down on the token costs very significantly by taking that approach. Or alternatively, you could just say, hey, this is what I'll do. I'll build it out for you within your own Voiceflow account, and then you guys are responsible for the build out fee plus my maintenance, and then you guys take care of whatever Voiceflow credits you guys need independently.
And I think that only because I mentioned someone else actually asked that question that you just answered, Bilal, earlier about how do we set that up usage wise. The one thing that we found that's very, very useful is that if they are wanting to maintain and manage their own service costs, they've probably got a Google Workspace. Just get them to go in and make a automations at their company name.co.uk, etc. as a domain. They give you the login, you build the solutions on that login with their API costs, etc. And then essentially that's just handed back to them. If you want to step out, that email's there to then work on either with the next agency or for them to manage themselves. So it just allows you to sort of build on their systems without having to integrate with a pre-existing account.
There's also a lot of other models. I know Together AI was one that Norval shared, but I think there's a few more where you can look to like essentially use a different model to save tokens. So happy to share that out after.
I've actually got, I'm going to drop it in here now. It's a like an LLM usage calculator for API pricing. So depending on if you want to use Claude, Gemini's, etc. So they're all on there. Just have a look through and look at the usage, etc. And then you can sort of forecast a little bit with the traffic that you're currently seeing. One thing that would also help keep the usage down is don't have the Voiceflow bot open straight away, like on page on page load, because obviously that's going to waste them high how are you today tokens, as well as if you don't need it, bring your token usage down. If you're not looking to give massive outputs of over 300-400 words, just bring the token usage down, and it will bring it into that sort of concise window for it to then give it out without using too many tokens.
Yeah, and don't use like GPT-4 or the more advanced models when you don't need to. You know, that's an instant 25x multiplier. So, you know, just keep your prompt short. And like Ben was saying, really cut down on, you know, the amount of tokens that you need, and use the simplest model that'll get the job done.
Yes.
I think that definitely leans on get used to using Hugging Face, or at least knowing what other models are out there, because there are so many variants, you know, accounting LLM models that, like, if you're talking to accountants, like, you don't need GPT-4. People have already refined the data sets into new LLMs and stuff. So instead of having 100 billion parameter model or whatever, you can have a 7 billion parameter model or a 10 billion parameter model. And then by the time you test it, then you can see whether or not that's actually working and giving you the optimal output or not. But that's the stuff that I think as agency owners have to, that's our service towards our clients. You know, it's finding the solutions that best suit them. It's not just, okay, I'm used to using GPT and GPT-4, so I'm always going to use GPT-4, and oh, your retainer's this much a month and that much a month. It's like, no, it's like we need to use the systems and the models that are provided to us to best leverage that for our clients. They're only going to trust us more. You know, eventually, if you stop working with that client, but they're constantly paying you $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month on a retainer, eventually they're going to ask questions, and they're going to be like, why am I paying for this? Like, I want to host this myself now. So if you want to keep the client there, you've got to do your due diligence to make sure that you're constantly keeping them up to date, using the right systems, and ultimately making it as cheap for them as possible. That's like the keys.
Love that. Yeah, the other call out was around making sure you have quality prompts. We started like a prompts channel in the Discord to just get everyone to share like what prompts have been working for them. Also, Pete on our team works a lot with our enterprise clients. He's creating like a prompt series. So stay tuned for that. I think it does make a huge difference, that and structuring your knowledge base in terms of like making sure you can deliver quality responses and maximize your token consumption. Cool. I feel like this is a good place to wrap. Want to like maybe stop our screen sharing here, but thank you so much to all the panelists who've come out and shared all your wisdom. If you even like
thanks for setting us up, Kim. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Amazing.
Oh my
You
God.
orchestrated this entire thing, and you've been amazing to work with. Yeah,
no,
awesome.
it's all you guys. Look at the chat, like it's just literally like blowing up from engagement. So you guys are so awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody.